coming. Right. Good evening, everybody. You know, I'm still having that same thing. Talking to myself feels so weird because I can see little pictures, just 5 of you, and all the rest from wherever you come, whether it's your first time or you've been here like so loyal every single time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're in for a good one. We still have more people joining in. And so we're talking about what is the title? Nurturing, connecting to and nurturing our inner child. It's a huge topic. It's in my practice, I would say 95% of the time applicable. I think we all have something to say about the topic. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit what I mean by that. But for everybody just to arrive, if you are willing, take a nice deep breath and just arrive here, to sit here in front of your screen. And I really hope from the bottom of my heart that something that is being said has a benefit for you, that you recognize something or let it go, or whatever it may mean. So pull all the aspects that are still at work, that are still or already having plans for what happens afterwards, and bring them all together so that you are wholesome and complete sitting here with us, with Arno. And Brigitte is manning again our YouTube channel. So if you have anything to say while we keep each other muted, if you have something to say, you are so welcome to use the chat box. Brigitte and Arno both keep an eye on that. And if something comes up that we feel we have time for to address right here, right now, then we will do that. And Brigitte is doing the same on YouTube. So bring it on. So are we all together? Are we wholesome and complete? Ready to go? So I thought I come in, what did I call it, with a wrecking bell. Arno didn't volunteer for that job, so I'm going to take it on. Brigitte was also reluctant. So here's the wrecking ball, and the wrecking ball is a document that Arno can please share with us. And before we get into that document too much, you can start, Arno. I just want to have said for the record that if you recognize anything on that list that you would say, that's me, okay, and if you feel that is almost an overwhelming aspect of you, please understand that we are not here to take away any intervention that if you have a deeply psychological issue or mental issue, then you should seek the appropriate help. Having said that, with our beautiful modality to heal what can be healed is just so beautiful and super effective and actually fairly easy. It's unbelievable that you can carry on with something for years and years, and then in just a few sessions you can be free of it, which is really beautiful. So this document, now I have only me on the screen, as if I'm all alone in this world. If you look at this document, I don't know how big it is on your screen, and I'm not going to read all of that, right? That's way too much. But on the left-hand side, you have kind of symptoms or little issues or big ones that we often have as adults. And I'm not saying it happened once and just a little and then never again, but if that kind of is a repetitive happening, then maybe you recognize it, you know, anxiety or low self-worth or people-pleasing, perfectionism, I mean, I recognize me in that. Addictive behaviors, harsh inner critic, feeling not good enough. I mean, if you go through that list, I don't know how many we can all tick off that. At some stages in life, I think we have all of them. So what we really wanting to point out is when that gets unbearable, or what is the better word to use, out of proportion, right? And when you look on the right-hand side of that table, there is a list, and that's of course a total assumption. It could be anything, but there is a likelihood that if you have one of the other symptoms, that could possibly also point in the direction of what might have happened to you when you were little. So look at that. So if you take, for example, the perfectionism, it says here, you only got praised for achievements, not for just being. If look whether that resonates with us, with you, or conflict avoidance, right? Witnessing or experiencing high conflict environments. Yeah. So why, as you go through that list, why would that be an issue 20, 30, 40, 50 years later? And still have a residue strong enough that when something comes, let's you look at the third one, fear of rejection or abandonment, it could point to that the caregivers, which could be the parents or somebody that we relied on, was emotionally unavailable or inconsistent in their availability. So we have to go back to when we were actually really little children, and look at our environment. And some of the stuff we may remember, but I said that before, because our brain functions differently when we very young, under the age of 3, roundabout, we really store information very primitively, kind of, is it life supporting or is it life threatening? That's all we really need to know in the beginning. So we might not really remember consciously the story, the narrative around it. And it gets stored there, and that doesn't mean, or because it gets stored, it does mean that it now is a program in our subconscious, and it taints our whole life experience, because we have filed it away. Let's say it was life-threatening, then obviously somehow we have to make a coping mechanism. And the typical coping mechanism for a child, if you think about it, it has to adapt. It has to adapt because we unfortunately or fortunately, we're not like a little cow or bokkie that comes out of mother's womb and we go grazing. It doesn't work that way. We are very, very reliant on the care and the loving of our caregivers, usually the parents. And when we feel in whatever way that these needs aren't fulfilled, then what can we do? The only option we have really is to adapt our ways so that we get that what we need, if that makes sense. Because what other resources do we have? We can hardly go into a discussion with our mother and say, listen, if you do this now, in 40 years' time, I will end up in somebody's therapy chair. We neither have the vocabulary, nor do we actually have a full understanding of things that happens around us or to us. And also, sometimes it's just a misunderstanding. We see life through our little perspective, and I had it often enough with clients in a regression where they go back and then they realize what they thought was so super traumatic actually was just a misunderstanding. It's you almost feel a little shameful that you made such a big issue out of that, but you didn't do that consciously. Something happened, you perceived it, and you've labeled it, you filed it, you developed a coping mechanism, and that coping mechanism will stay forever and ever until you do something about it. And doing something about it means, number one, that you have to have an awareness that your reaction to something in your life seems to be out of proportion. Let's say, for example, a relationship ends, and amicably or not, and there is a grieving process, and that's very normal. And the grieving process can last different time spans from person to person. But after some time, we kind of disassociate from that pain, or it gets lesser, or we find somebody else, or we turn to another direction in life, or whatever it is. Although we always carry maybe that issue with us, it becomes kind of normal. It's okay. It's happened, right? But there are people who really, really suffer, that they don't come to a closure with those things. Or somebody criticizes us. It wasn't a big deal. It was just, you didn't do that right. Yeah, and maybe they could have said it a little bit softer, but the impact it has, wow, that is totally out of proportion. I feel like I want to be swallowed by the earth. I don't want to be here. It completely affected my already limited sense of self-worth. And now I'm being criticized on top of that. So this is what we're talking about when you look at that list and you find, wow, yeah, I that resonates with me. And what I also want to say is that we're not here to blame anybody. We're not here to blame the parents or whoever took care of us or whoever said some harsh words or did something else. That's not the point. And because we also can't change the past, what has happened has happened. And generally, I really like to believe that almost all people really always do their best. And parenting, for all those of you who are parents themselves, you will know it's a tough job. And even with all the awareness and knowledge, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to say some harsh words or whatever. And even if you think you've been a model parent, you still have no influence over how the child um, absorbs things that happen. They can be so minute in our eyes. Let's say they had a bad dream, and the lapse between crying for somebody to love me and give me shelter is just too long. Somebody comes, but it takes forever. That harm might be done, and we don't see it as parents. So we're not blaming. That's the last thing we want to do. But that doesn't mean that if we are having these lingering programs that once were installed to help us cope with life and with interaction with others, that we have to live with this forever and ever. There are beautiful ways to deal with that. So that's what we refer to generally as the inner child and inner child wounds. That's what these programs, that's what we talk about. So when you then think about it, we don't really just have one inner child. We probably have a whole kindergarten, because we might have had incidences at different times from different people in different intensity and at different age groups. So the actual definition goes like, and it's a mouthful, but I'm going to say it, whenever something happens when we're little that shouldn't happen, or something that should happen doesn't, that can inflict a strong enough impact on us, on that little us, to create a coping mechanism. It's really a mouthful, huh? Anna, what do you think? Do you want to close down that table now, because we have enough negativity?
Okay, let me close it down. There we
Yeah,
go.
and now I can see some other people there. Okay, so maybe should I repeat that sentence, because it's a beautiful sentence, because it wraps it all up. So when something happens to us that shouldn't happen, and we all know what we mean by that, and if something that should happen, and we also all know what we mean by that, doesn't happen, so then we can't cope with that situation. We haven't any resources. And in most miraculous ways, I think it's really beautiful, our subconscious at such an early age creates kind of coping mechanism programs to avoid these happenings in future. Because if we not fit in, if we don't please these people around us, and please I take in inverted commas, when we don't fit in, then there is a fear, it's a very primal fear, that we might be abandoned. And when we abandoned as a little one, there's no way that we're able to survive. So we can't afford that. So we have to do what we have to do to be accepted. And that can be very often misunderstood and very well meant from the parents sometimes. You know, if parents, for example, constantly push a little one for better results in whatever they engage in, and they mean well, they just want that child to be the best and have all the benefits growing up of whatever they're doing, the parent might mean incredibly well. And the child perceives this perhaps as, well, whatever I do is not good enough. So unless I perform to that what you expect from me, I'm not worthy your love. And that's harsh, no? And obviously, the more awareness parents have nowadays, hopefully, and the more awareness we as individuals have, when I feel certain character traits, behavioral traits, reactions in daily life that seem to be disproportionate, what drives this? Is this really logical? Is this really appropriate? Or could that be a program that I'm now can become aware of something that may or may not have happened in the past, but it's still running? Yeah, because in its nature, the little child is actually such a beautiful, it's an archetype, it's an ego state, it's an actual real little child. And what does it need? It needs safety, love, acceptance, it needs to belong. And it has all these beautiful aspects that, because we all have the positive aspects of an inner child in us too, like curiosity, a sense of adventure, wanting to know more, wanting this now. I want this now. Yeah, and now it's maybe not the sweet or the lollipop anymore. Now it's a fancy car or a pair of shoes or whatever it is. But when we look out and we have this, oh yes, yes, I want this. That's the inner child speaking, and that's actually a really beautiful quality. And sometimes even this curiosity is not handled well by the parents, because curiosity could lead us into what they perceive as areas of danger. I want to climb the highest branch of the tree because that's cool, and I can see, and then the world is mine, and maybe I'm Robin Hood or whatever one is nowadays, right? And the parent stands down there and freaks out, shouts at me. Actually, it's their own fear why they shout at me. And what do I perceive this as? Oh, I've done bad again. I'm a bad girl. I'm a bad child. So I mustn't climb up trees. And I do it in a few other ways. And then I realize, I just shouldn't be curious. Just shouldn't adventure. But the other part of the child also lives on. Can you see that inner conflict that arrives here? You want things, you have these desires, you know, and you tried in the womb, everything was supplied, everything was just perfect. It was climatized, instant nutrition, wonderful. You come out and it continues this way. A little baby, a newborn can't do anything wrong. And it changes very quickly. Latest when it comes to, let's say, potty training, suddenly what was absolutely natural isn't anymore. And I get restricted in my natural behaviors. I mean, why would I understand that I now have to sit on a potty instead of just letting go? And I learn by reward and the opposite, which behavior of me pleases my surroundings most so that my needs get met. And unfortunately, we carry these, let's call them emotional imprints, we carry them until our dying day, unless we have developed an awareness of them and we're willing to do something about it. Yeah, and in our modality, this is actually very easy. I wouldn't be surprised if you have come across any inner child work before. Maybe we do it a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more holistic. But the main difference that might be the way we do it and maybe some other people is we step out of our conscious mind, and we're stepping into our subconscious mind, where all this wealth of informations and feelings and pictures, everything is there. So you can't really solve this with your logic and analysis, because some of us might know, I didn't have the nicest childhood, and I know I must forgive my parents, and I have done that, and I don't know why I'm still feeling the way I'm feeling, because it's not an intellectual process. That's why it's, I would say, potluck. If you can solve those intellectually, it needs the feeling mind. It needs to go into the realm of the inner child frequency and work with that. And then there you can actually very often resolve or start healing it quite quickly. Yeah. Arno, do you want to add something to that?
Claudia, I don't actually have much to add because, it's beautiful. It's the core of what we do. Um, yeah, it's our day to day. So we are where we are in life, and with the emotions we experience moment to moment, day to day, be it good emotions or bad emotions, because the inner child is reacting to the environment or the thoughts, or and if the inner child's not happy because something is bothering, then it's looking for these triggers, and the smallest little thing can trigger it, and then it cascades like dominoes that are falling, and we one bad emotion to the next, and and these are, most of these conditions come from that, that everybody knows, like depression and anxiety and anger and fear, and and then the opposite. If that inner child is happy, it looks for things that continues that, that propagates that. So it's then life becomes so much easier and so much more fun, because then the triggers the dominant triggers are good triggers. It's triggers that makes us smile and have fun, and triggers that enjoyment. So in essence, the inner child is the secret. It's the secret to the life you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you can get that inner child to be happy, guess what? You're going to be happy. And if it's not, and even if you consciously try so hard, you're just going to have inner conflict. So you're going to waste so much energy trying to get or be happy that it just becomes virtually impossible, because you're clashing with like something that's hurting beneath the surface. So yeah, now I think I'm going too profound right now, Claudia. Let me stop.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You just emphasizing what I said, and that's wonderful. And a big problem, if we want to look at it that way, in adulthood, because that need to belong in a way still stands, whether that's work or friends or family or whatever. And now, if we are still driven by these programs and we look into that compartment of our life and we say, oh, these people need me to be like this, okay, and then I go into another compartment of life and they say, oh no, these people want me to be like this, and so on and so on, what we lose is ourselves. And there is no more authenticity. And how can you be joyful, peaceful, centered, grounded, and from that even more better emotions can spring up if you always rely on fitting in or fitting into somebody's perspective? So it's a matter, it's not whether or not we have these programs. It's a matter of how deep goes my awareness and how willing am I to unfold or let this lotus flower open up, so that the true me that from beginning always had the right to be and to exist and to live life to the fullest with all my pros and cons, so to speak, to let that out. I mean, that is the basis for true joy and peace and inner centeredness. If it's not coming from your authenticity, then it's not real. Then it's probably just fitting into another model, maybe that you read in a book or heard somewhere, and if I'm like this, then I will be. Yeah, but then that might not come from you. It needs to come from deep within. And on the one hand, you can say, the more I'm feeling good, so if I do more of this, I can continue feeling good. That's one way of doing it. That's obviously the preferred way. Or I'm feeling restricted. I need to use force in life. This way is somehow not the right way. What is it? What stands in the way? What belief systems do I have about the situation or the person or about myself that are holding me back from this flow state? Because only with authenticity can you actually be in that flow state, and you can't hope to come to this peaceful, blissful state without authenticity. So it's not only nice to deal with these programs or emotional imprints, I think it's essential. And the benefits are so beautiful because the easiness that comes, and it has got nothing to do with the ego when you find out, oh, I'm actually okay. Oh, I didn't offend them telling the truth or setting a boundary or whatever. And in the beginning, you might be a little bit unsure of your steps or your words. But as you prolong this for a while, it becomes so natural and it becomes easier and easier to just be you. I mean, if you think of a newborn, I say this with tongue in cheek because it's not entirely true, because it's already tainted then. but it is worth everything it is. It's here. It does exist. What else does it need to prove to others to make its existence worthy? And I don't necessarily mean this in a religious or even spiritual content. I mean, it's just how it is, isn't it? And then that gets tainted, and it can take a lifetime to get the beautiful truth come to this, and that's felt in your environment. It's felt when you come from authenticity. It's felt when you're not hiding away or not trying to please or not trying to fit in. It is felt by others when you are comfortable with yourself. And that's maybe the opposite. You through the ego would maybe say confident, but really feeling good with yourself. Is it you found your rock? You hold on to something that nobody can take away from you because it's you. You're not reliant on the outside world anymore, and that's a beautiful state to be. And even if we can get us glimpses for that, even if we can't hold it in all environments, in all situations, okay. But if we can work on having more and more of these times, the rewards are just so beautiful that one can pretty much get addicted to finding out who am I really without all these layers that taint my personality and my character and who I am. And our society is not necessarily a kind one. If you just look at the facade, the outside, the body, it's expected to be a certain way in order to be beautiful or worthy to even be looked at. Yeah, we live through that, and it goes to the outside. So my house, my car, my children, my job, my title, my this, my that. Whew, just the thought exhausts me. And to find more and more that just the way I am is worthy. And if not of anybody else's love, but of my own. Yeah. So this natural playfulness, this authenticity, and we all know that because we have moments and glimpses of it when we go on a vacation and we leave all worries behind, or we with really good friends where we don't have to wear masks, or you need to look into your own life. These are really good times. And when you look at these inner children's symptoms and you learn to deal with them, you can have many, many, many more of these times. And that's worthy of our attention, I think. So upfront, because what we're going to do just now, we're going to have a session. And I have this privilege and the honor to take you through a little journey, not only to meet the inner child, but also to start the healing process. But I would like to explain something up front. There's something needed from you in order to do this successfully. It might involve a commitment, because if you follow and you let go and you go deep into your feeling mind and your subconscious mind, and you have the opportunity to meet your inner child, whether you hear voices or see pictures or however you perceive it, it doesn't really matter. The state of how that inner child is in can be very different. It can happen, for example, that is probably the worst, that it doesn't trust you. So you meet it and it doesn't trust you. Well, the good question then to ask yourself as you are in that, imagine that scene, what can I do to earn that trust of that little child? And when I say little child, that could be a baby, that could go, it's usually in the very early years, but it can go up into adolescence. And so you need to use your wisdom as an adult and your life experience to choose or to discuss, even if that's possible, how can I earn that trust? So that's probably the hardest part. The trust issue comes because they're probably very scared, or they're desolate. They have given up. It's not, why should I try again? I mean, that's sad, isn't that? It's so super sad. And so your compassion, your kindness, your love that you are capable of, you will have an opportunity, I hope, I wish for you to project that to yourself, to your inner child state. And now here comes the commitment part. It can be that you might be able to watch the healing of that inner child state while we in the session. So what I mean by that, you might get together, see or feel or hear it first, and it's crying and it's scared. And let's say, and I'm not going to put any words into your ears, but let's say you feel compelled to pick it up and hug it. And I will ask at some stage, and how is the little one now? And when you look, it has calmed down. It's already, let's say, stopped crying. That is a sign that the healing process has begun, right? I'm still coming back to the commitment. I haven't forgotten. So when a child is healed, really healed, and happy, therefore, what is it doing? It's not clinging around adults. It's playing somewhere. It doesn't need adults. It doesn't want adults. It is super happy in its own fantasy world, doing its thing, and probably climbing up that tree again. It's super happy. And this is how you can actually gauge when you connect to the little one during the session and after, how the healing process continues. And here comes the commitment. And that's your decision. I will never know. When that time comes, and I will bring it up, I will actually say it like that. Are you willing to commit to this? Will you check in with that little one until it doesn't need you anymore? Because that's the best thing that could happen, because then you know, yay, I've done it. Does it make sense? Okay, so the next question that comes up, oh my God, if I commit to connect to my inner child, does it mean every day I have to put an hour aside, light a candle, play a special song, sit cross-legged and chant Om for an hour before I do that? No, you don't. Once the connection is established, it is the easiest and the quickest thing to do. It can take literally seconds, believe it or not. So when the time comes in the session and I say to you, for example, and don't try that now, because you can only really decide it when the emotions are involved, right? But when I say, so when would be a good time for you to connect with the inner child in your daily routine? And for me, it's usually what I recommend, for example, is the bathroom routine in the morning. When I shave or put my makeup on, I do nothing anyway than having thoughts about what to do at work or what to wear or whatever. Why don't I take seconds and just connect with that inner child? Actually, it doesn't cost any time. Just check in. Or when I fall asleep, yeah, if it's appropriate in your life to just cuddle in with the little one and have a nice internal talk. When you drive somewhere, why don't you have the little one strapped in next to you? And it goes a step further. I mean, don't do it loud, I would recommend, because that might not be taken by your surroundings too easily, but in the privacy of your mind, why don't you involve the little one in some decision making? Like, what should we have for supper? Ice cream or spaghetti. Or what should I wear today? Or, wherever you feel you could possibly accommodate that child, then do it. You have a day off or an afternoon off. What do you want to do? I want to draw, or I want to write, or I want to sing, or I want to dance, or I want to play something. Why don't you then do that? And in your mind, you're doing it together. That's super healing, right? So whether you engage in the activity or not, the commitment, I mean, is that you keep on checking in with the little one until you come to the point where you either completely forget, that's also a sign that the work is done, you completely forget about it, or you check in and she or he's happy, you know, then you got to check in because it's nice, not because there's more work to be done. Does that make sense? Is there any questions, Arno, that you can imagine the people might have, that something I haven't said?
No, Claudia, I think it's perfect. It makes complete sense. So, so keep in mind that there are these two aspects to you, the adult and the child inside. And, we tend to think we are one. So, when you're making decisions and you're doing things, you're one congruent unit. And we tend to think you think of yourself as an adult, and, you're doing adult things. But back at the ranch, there's a child aspect inside of you. And if that child aspect has been ignored or neglected or has some things bothering, then the adult finds it difficult to achieve or do the things it wants to do. So, a summary would be that aligning the adult with the child, and the child, please do take note that the child is, although it's a child, it is a lot more powerful than the adult. In other words, because it's in charge of the emotions, it can override logic, it can override goals. It can throw a spanner in the works of the adult's plans. So for the adult to get what the adult wants, it's a good strategy to make friends with your own inner child, and nurture your own inner child, and preferably get a culture of cooperation and friendship and love going, because then you're also going to be a lot happier. Yeah, that's saying exactly what you've said. Just
Yeah,
another.
no, but you formulated it beautifully. Thank you, because it makes the inner states. I didn't want to go into all of that, really, to not to overload, but yeah. So there is really these two aspects of you, especially when you go into the session now. You, the adult, you will be visiting or meeting, I hope, an inner child or inner children. I guide you through that process. So you as an adult, you have all your cognitive functions, all your logic, all your life experience, and the child has the child's needs, the child's emotions, and possibly things that happened in the past that have not been so good for it. So you need to use your own judgment as the adult in this duo to see what is the best thing to do. And because it's you, now it sounds really crazy, because it's you, you will know. You will know. You must just trust that. There's nothing to worry about. Right, Arno? I think we must rather start, otherwise we don't have enough time. Do you want to quickly brief the people what to expect about going on into a session?
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to do it so short because the topic is just perfect. So if you embrace that child aspect, so go into it like a child, you know, have the goal of trusting and having fun and just going with it, then you'll get maximum benefit. And then, to those of you that's new to hypnosis, remember that you are always in control, that you will never say or do anything you don't want to say or do in the hypnotic state, and that you will remember everything afterwards that's important to you. Nobody has ever gotten stuck in hypnosis. There's no such thing. It's actually a natural, normal state we all go through, at least twice a day because of the brainwave frequencies going through that alpha theta levels. So, yeah. And then in terms of comfort, I recommend that you, sit, or, if you're reclining, yeah, don't get too comfortable, because at this time of the evening, getting too comfortable is a message, to sleep. So I recommend sitting up and then just balancing your head comfortably on your shoulders. And also maybe finding a spot where you won't be disturbed, where you can be that child for a moment and don't have to adult the people around you, if that makes sense. Just so you can, it's a little bit of a me time, me time, just for you. And it's so quick. It's just, and yet if you fully embrace it, this can be profound. It can start a healing process, and I don't want to spend much time on this, but this comes from the very core, the very most powerful thing we do in hypnosis practices, right? So when we get to this level, this is where the real magic happens. So if you can allow yourself to give yourself this gift, this could be the start of that for you.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. And maybe you want to get another blankie. I believe it's quite cold in the country. Here in Cape Town it is. And as you make yourself really comfortable under the circumstances you are here, wiggle your body in that. I also would like to say before we start is, if you feel you opened a Pandora's box that is so exciting, but you feel you were more window shopping than actually achieving a meaningful connection, we have a whole website full of qualified people that can help you with that. So you're not high and dry if the session is not yielding the results that you would like to yield, right? Also, don't rush these things. It's you. You got all the time in the world. Yeah? Cool. So make yourself really comfortable. Take a few nice deep breaths, and when the time comes for you, you probably want to choose to close your eyes, because it's easier to focus on the inner world when we close our eyes. And our breath, that is such a trusted companion, is so good, especially with every exhalation. We can just follow it, and the whole cycle of breath can actually guide us deeper and deeper inside of us. And the first thing that most people notice is that somewhere in the body, the wish starts to arise to relax the body, to relax the mind. And you can help that desire by simply making that decision that everything else is not so important right now. All the thoughts that were coming in and out during the day and probably return later, you can just let them pass by as you connect with your breath. And you could imagine that when you breathe in relaxation. And when you exhale, you just let go that little bit more. And that might mean that your shoulders want to drop a little bit, that your arms may become heavy on the surface they're lying on or in your lap. You can just welcome those as the entry point to a little journey. And the first part of that little journey, where we're heading in a moment, is that I'm actually asking your deep inner subconscious wise mind to prepare, perhaps already now, a scenario for you where you feel so amazingly relaxed and at ease. Whether that's in nature or in a room or wherever you find yourself. So just imagine as if we now stepping slowly, let's say with 5 steps down into this space. And it can be that your conscious mind wants to guide you in certain directions of memories, of fantasies, and that's okay too. Yet, you could also stay open as you drift deeper and deeper and leave all of the other stuff behind for now, because this is a really exciting journey. That you find yourself taking in another really deep breath. And sinking even deeper into yourself. Almost as if not only the thoughts, but the sounds and the environment is just fading away. And your inner world, however you may perceive it, is starting to become more and more vivid. And there is no right and there is no wrong. And you have the right to change things. And the way you would like it to be, even as we still going towards this magical place, you want it to be your way. You want it to be nice, safe, pleasant, and maybe happy, maybe joyful, maybe loving. So take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, find yourself drifting closer and closer and closer to this wonderful, wonderful space. Maybe first glimpses are opening up. Maybe the first feelings of excitement or deep relaxation coming up. And let's take one last deep breath and have the intention that when you exhale, the curtains just open, or the door, or however you do it, and you stepping fully into this wonderful, wonderful space of your making or memory or fantasy now. It's so worthy to acclimatize yourself, to see what you see, hear what can be heard, touch what is longing to be touched, and even notice just how you feel in this space. And how can you make it even better? This space is going to be the sanctuary in which you are going to invite your inner child. So you want to kind of prepare it, maybe especially for that purpose. Making it pretty or super safe or sunny or cozy. And when you think you've done a really good job, what some people enjoy is to put a really nice safety bubble around this place so that inside you so at home and at ease and feeling good. And there now. I wonder whether you want to wander around a little bit and just choose the perfect place where you can wait with anticipation. Not expectation, but looking forward to what's going to happen next. There's a readiness in you, a willingness, a curiosity to see what happens. When you allow yourself to let images come up, or movie scenes, or even just feelings from when you were younger, maybe much younger, and things maybe weren't going 100% your way. And sooner than later, there will be something coming up of a younger version of you that is not that happy. That is a little bit in distress. That's maybe sad or a little scared. And you can just let this happen in whichever way it wants. And have this welcoming, loving attitude. Welcome. You're safe here. Come. Come be here in this safe space. And you can just look at that younger version of you and get an impression. We're not doing anything yet. We're just noticing. Just noticing. Noticing maybe how old you were then in that version that's there now. And as you ask that younger version of yourself to make himself or herself comfortable, now that you know how to do this, go back in the search of finding another one, maybe a younger one. And it could be instantaneous. And maybe sometimes they're hiding a little bit. Sometimes they don't really believe that now somebody, after all this time, somebody wants to be with them. So let this come from your heart. And let the next one, the next version of you come in. And you notice. You notice. You can look into the eyes and you can see the story. And you can lovingly welcome that version. And make it comfortable there in your space that you have especially designed for this purpose. I'm here now, you can say. I'm here now. And I want to know And now that you really know how to do this, go and fetch them all. There might be more, maybe not, maybe there are. Because as the trust in you is established, there might just one after one coming in. There could be very few or there could be many. It doesn't matter. And however many there are now, how proud can you be of all of them? That you made it and you made it well. And now take a moment and really connect with each one of them deeply. Look into the eyes, look at the story, look at the emotions. And then I want you to listen to your heart. Most probably it is your heart that will tell you which one of them needs you most. Which one needs you most? And it could very well be that the others are kind of linked to the pain that that little one has. So zone in onto her or him. And maybe you kneel down, maybe you make eye level contact. I don't know, whatever you feel is right, but come across with such loving sincerity because you are interested, you want to know it all, and you want to say that it is really safe here and that you are finally here. And take your heartfelt judgment. What can you offer this one, this version, to make it feel better? What would it accept? What would it want? And then offer it, do it. Perhaps even you can feel those little arms around you. Or maybe you can feel the breath of the little one becoming a little slower because it starts feeling a little safer. And please choose your own words, but make it known that you are really here now and you will not abandon it. You want to be friends. So engage, ask questions like, what would you like to do? Do you want to tell me something? Do you want to play together? And notice, maybe already now, if there is trust, that a little ease is setting in, or even joy that you are here. Maybe it turns straight into happiness and say, just waiting for you. And you will know whether that joy, that childlike joy is complete or whether it needs a little time. You will know that. In time you got. Because here is what I talked about. And you don't want to make any empty promises. So think about it. Are you willing to commit to be with that version of you until it's fully authentic and childlike and itself and doesn't really need you anymore. Are you willing to do that? Do you have this compassion and love inside of you? Is the younger version willing to connect with you? You could have so much fun together. You will find so many ways of connecting so easily, so spontaneously. And maybe now it becomes so much clearer what I mean by saying, listen to the little one, what it would like for supper, or what clothes I'm wearing, or what music I'm listening to, or what am I going to do with my spare time today or on the weekend. And then you do it. Discuss it with the little one. Talk about it. Do you see a flicker in the eyes of light, of joy, of excitement that is so beautiful in children? And you're on the right track. So make it known. Make it known in a way it's being understood that you are here and you will do what is necessary for how long it's necessary. You're going to check in all the time, you know, to know what's needed and how far the healing has come. It's going to be such a glorious journey. It's going to be so wonderful. You can have so many exciting things that you can do together. You're going to be each other's besties. Yeah. Look at that younger version. What do you see now in the eyes? What expression? What do you take from that? Can you see that it's already a little better or a lot? So explain that even when you seemingly disconnect and not totally focus on it like now, you're always there. And when it is soon now time to come back into the outside world, it isn't a goodbye. In a way, you're doing this together too, because perhaps you have decided that you want to keep this inner child in your heart and in your mind. So from now on, maybe when certain things happen in the outer world there, and maybe it's just worthy to just look inside and wonder what the little one would have to say to that, or whether that was one of the things that was adding to the hurt. And then maybe when you're together next, an extra hug or a virtual ice cream or whatever. So make that clear, make this exciting, make this fun, make this play. This is so good to have established this connection. This is so necessary and so good. And you're going to be together all the time, even if now you start so very gently to be aware that there is an outside world, that your body is sitting in a chair in front of a screen and you're listening to me. Only perhaps maybe in a little while when it's time to sleep, to cuddle up with each other or to have dreams, or in the morning to be in the bathroom and brushing your teeth together. It's exciting. It's exciting to know that inner aspects of ourselves can heal. And it's exciting to know that when the inner aspects heal, that we become more and more of who we really are, and we don't need all these masks and games and plays, and because we start feeling a such a beautiful basic knowing of who we are. And feel that right now, or that promise of it, feel that, and let that guide you to do more of this. And notice that whenever you connect to the little one, it's going to be easier and easier to do so. And seal this in with a nice deep breath. Oh. And I'm going to count quickly from 5 to 1. And on the count of 1, you can open your eyes with a stretch and a smile, bringing with you all the goodness of what you've done here. And when you open your eyes with a stretch and a smile and wanting to take this excitement with you, also knowing that at this time of the evening, you're taking with you your ability to have one of the best night's sleep ever. And here we go on 5. And 4, more and more, including anything from the outside world. Notice how your body sits in the chair. And 3, any noises from the outside world, any sounds. What is the temperature in the room? And 2, maybe wiggling your toes, or wiggling your thumbs over your forefingers, and on the next count, eyes open with a deep stretch and a smile, and awake, alert, invigorated, and more whole, I hope. Good. Now it's up to you. It's a good idea to maybe write that down somewhere, what you've experienced, because sometimes it can be a little bit like a dream, and then it just fades. And there's other little things that you can do in time to come, is, for example, writing letters to the people that, affected the little one. And so starting, letting things go and watch your inner child here. Well done. Cool. Yeah, silence.
Thank you, Claudia. That was amazing. I feel so in touch with myself, so close to myself. It's a beautiful, supporting feeling. That's what I want, you know. And I can imagine if I can feel like this all the time, it'd be so much easier to do things, to get things done, because more of me will be present. Um, yeah, sure.
Inner
Amazing.
support, you're not fragmented, you whole, and that's just a beautiful thing. So from my side, you are all on WhatsApp groups, and if you have questions, we will attend to them. As I say, if you come across something big, there is a whole website full of really wonderful, very capable professional people that can help you to take this further if you find that's necessary. And otherwise, from my side, I give Arno the closing statement. From my side, I just wish you a really wonderful, playful, good time.
Thank you, Claudia. That's amazing. And that's so appropriate for the inner child to have some fun, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Yes, that's it. Another event. We've been busy with this since how long? Sure, it's a year and a
23,
half. Hmm. Yeah,
23. It's the
yeah,
15th one.
yeah. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see how many people are joining, and it's growing and creating so much awareness. So, if you're getting benefit, invite your friends, invite family, yeah, we're going to keep going with this because, it feels like we're making a difference in this world and we're impacting on a larger scale. So this is our aim and our goal at the Institute, is to make a difference in this world. And that's why we train people to also make a difference in this world. And if you are drawn to do that, feel free to look into the website, look further. We've got some training starting soon for our next practitioners, our next generation of practitioners. And I personally can't wait to see what happens, because it's such a beautiful journey. In any case, please stay on the WhatsApp groups, because we're already planning the next one. And for me, it feels, I don't know if it feels the same for everybody and for you, Claudia. It feels like, we seem to be just getting deeper and deeper, the depth of these sessions, the impact. I'll tell you, the messages I get after each one of these is, it's amazing, the benefit people get. It's free therapy, right? So, and by joining more and more, you just get more and more benefit. So, yeah, stay on there. I will be posting information shortly. And that's it from my side. Thank you, Brigitte. Thank you, Claudia. That was absolutely amazing. Have a beautiful evening and a good night's rest, and, nourish that inner child.